When can I retire? How much will I get? What happens if I take my money out of TRS? These are the questions that we get all the time. My name is Winston Buckley, Director of Communications and Outreach for the Teachers Retirement System of Georgia, and today we'll be talking about the TRS formula. So if you haven't liked, followed, or shared this, make sure that you're doing that to make sure that you can watch this at a later date or time, and make sure that your friends and coworkers are aware of this. If you haven't followed us and subscribed on YouTube, make sure that you're doing that as well, because that's where you can get longer form videos. So today we're going to be on for about 15 minutes or so. I will be looking at some comments and questions that you have on our live chat here. So go ahead and drop your questions and your comments that you have, and at the end I will take some of those questions. Probably won't be able to get to them all, but I'm sure I'll cover a good bit today. So again, we're going to talk about the TRS formula. Now, did you know that being an educator in the state of Georgia can make you a millionaire? Now, you're probably wondering, Winston, how is this possible? Well, the average benefit here in Georgia is a little over $3,400 per month. So in about 25 years into your retirement, you would have grossed over $1 million. And Dale Alexander talks about this in his $1 Million Wagon video that's on our YouTube channel. So make sure that you're checking that out. But first, again, we're going to talk about the TRS formula. If you aren't familiar with what that TRS formula is, it's your years of creditable service multiplied by 2%. So you get 2% for every year that you have in this system. And we multiply that by your highest average salary. Now, your highest average salary is the highest 2 consecutive years of salary, or the highest 24 months, wherever that falls in your career. For a lot of people, that's your last 2 years. But for some people, let's say you did extended day for a while, or you did summer school, or you were coaching, you had a local supplement that might have increased your benefit. Those things add to your TRS benefit. So again, we multiply all that together, your creditable service, that 2%, and your years of salary to get your basic benefit under the max plan. Now, the most that you can have in TRS is up to 40 years of service. Now, some people are like, Winston, there's no way I'm going to do 40 years in the teacher's retirement system. But I'll say, hold on, because we actually have people that have over 50 years of service. And some of that is just for them working. So they love what they do. They hit their stride, and they just want to keep on doing what they're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But some people are adding sick leave and buying service to maximize their benefit. So we're going to touch on that in just a little bit. Again, the max is 40 years of service, so that's up to 80% that you can get in your retirement. Now, there's 3 different ways to retire. The most common type is what's called a normal retirement or a service retirement. And that just means that you are retiring with no penalty. And you can reach that at 30 years of service at any age, or if you have at least 10 years of service and you are 60 years of age. Now, remember that formula. We multiply your years of creditable service by 2%. So let's say you are retiring with 60 years of age and the 10 years of service, that's going to be 10 years times 2%. Therefore, 20% of those highest 2 years is what you're going to get for the rest of your lifetime. If that's 30 years that you have, a lot of people try to reach the 30-year mark. That's 30 years times 2%, which is 60% of your highest 2 years. So let's give some round numbers. Let's say your average salary is $50,000 a year. If you are retiring with 10 years of service, that's 20%, and therefore that's $10,000 per year. For somebody that is retiring with 60% of their salary, it's about $30,000 a year. For somebody that is retiring with 40 years of service, or 80%, that's $40,000 per year. And of course, the higher your salary is, the higher your benefit will be in retirement. So if you're making $100,000 for your highest 2 consecutive years, then we will use the formula for that. If it's 200, if it's $1 million, there are so many different jobs that are within TRS. So that's something to think about as well when you're thinking about maximizing your benefit. So don't just think about what you're doing today, because that is not what everything is, where we base your total benefit of. A lot of people will job switch at some point in their career. So, about every 4 years, people are switching their jobs or they're getting some type of promotion to do something else, or it might be the same thing. A lot of educators are getting steps increases, or they might be getting advanced degrees. So, that will increase your salary over time. Again, I mentioned the coaching or the extended day during summer school as well. That increases your benefit. But TRS is vast. So if you're thinking about what you're doing today and you say, well, I'm not sure if I want to do that for 5, 10, or 20 years, look around the education system and look around within the TRS system, those TRS covered employers. So that includes technical colleges, that includes those universities and colleges under the University System of Georgia, that's K through 12, and even state agencies. So if you're already vested, which means that you have 10 or more years of creditable service, then you can keep your TRS benefit and work for a state agency or a technical college. So a plan that's under a system that's under the ERS plan. So there are so many, again, so many different things that you could be doing within the TRS system to maximize your pension benefit. Now, the other two ways to retire is early retirement. So if you happen to leave before your age 60, but you have at least 25 years of service, you can retire then. And some people do take advantage of that, but that is a reduced retirement based on your age and your years of service. And the last type of retirement that we have is a disability retirement. So if you become disabled and cannot perform your current job duties, that is a way to retire without a penalty, and there's no age with that. So those are your three different ways to retire under the teacher's retirement system. But before you decide to retire, you want to make sure that you know what your numbers are. So we have a pension calculator on our website that you can use at any time, and you can throw numbers in there, sick leave, some information about your beneficiaries, and our TRS system will give you an idea of what you can expect when you retire, whether that's 10 years from now or 30 years from now. That is a great tool to use. Now, you may be thinking, well, there are some other things outside of the system that I might want to do. So let's say you want to be a pilot. Now, there might be some possibilities to even be a pilot within the teacher's retirement system. I actually met a boat captain that is a part of the TRS system. So there might be something there where you can live out your wildest dreams as far as your employment is concerned and still contribute to your TRS benefit. But let's say there's something in the private sector and you just want to leave, where in that case, you do have some options. So you can leave your benefit here with TRS. If you're vested, then that'll stay there and it's locked for your retirement. So at age 60, you can start drawing that benefit at that time. You can withdraw your funds, but you want to think about that before you decide to do so. One option is to roll that over into another qualified plan. So like a 401k or an IRA, for example, you can roll your TRS benefit into one of those plans and not incur any penalties at that time. So let's say you have some years at TRS, you go into the private sector and you roll your funds directly over into that retirement plan. There's no penalties. There's nothing that happens as far as taxes that you will incur at that time. But if you decide to take those funds directly, and this happens quite a bit, people say, well, I need that money now. There are things that I need to do. You're going to pay taxes at your current tax rate, plus any penalties if you're under a certain age. So you could be looking upwards of 30 to 40% of what you put in as a penalty. And then when you come back, then you do have to buy that service back, plus the accrued interest over time. So it makes it more expensive to buy back the service that you withdrew. So that is an option, and people have to do that sometimes for various reasons. But before you decide to do that, make sure that you're talking to a TRS rep and a financial advisor to make sure that that's the best thing in your situation. So again, ways to maximize your benefit: working longer. Working longer can get you up to that 30 or 40-year mark. The sick leave can be added in there. We're going to do another session today on sick leave, so make sure that you're Again, liking, following, subscribing, make sure that you catch that session as well. But if you have enough sick leave, that can add to your benefit. And then you can buy a service, and we're going to do a session on that. You can tell that I'm in communications, right? I'm going to keep plugging. Make sure that you're back for that session as well, because we're going to talk about service purchases that you can make towards your TRS benefit, and that can increase your benefit. So you don't have to work those 30 years or those 40 years. You can use a combination of all of that to maximize your benefit, and with your career moves that you're going to make, because I know you're going to make some career and money moves while you're getting towards your retirement. All of that is going to set you up nicely, and you can become that millionaire that we talked about earlier. So at this time, I'm going to jump into some of these comments and questions here. And oh, this is beautiful. I see people are joining left and right. So thank you all for joining and subscribing here. So let's see if I can see some of these comments from my screen. All right, so one question that we have here, so we got some people that are on some other channels. So on our YouTube channel, I always ask this: why can't we put more than 7% into TRS? So how does that work? You're actually putting in 6% of your gross salary into TRS, and that is the max by Georgia law that you can put into our system. And so you're putting in 6%, but your employer is putting in about 21% of your salary. So you have a combined almost 30% of your gross salary that's going into TRS to maximize your benefit and to make sure that you're paid out for the rest of your lifetime. Now, if you want to do something above and beyond that, that's where your defined contribution plans come in. So your 401k plan, a 457B plan, a 403B plan, those plans is where you can add additional funds for your retirement at any percentage or dollar amount that you want, and you can direct those funds. So with TRS, you're going to have your locked-in benefit here is guaranteed, and one of the benefits of your TRS benefit is that it doesn't fluctuate like the stock market or like the economy. So I don't know if you've checked your brokerage account or your 401k lately, but it's a little scary out there. Your TRS is steady, and that's something that you can depend on. However, we do recommend that you save elsewhere for your retirement, and that's in those 401ks and 453Bs, 457Bs, and 403B type accounts, because there you can compound your contributions there and pad yourself for your retirement. So that's are some options that you can use in order to maximize your retirement benefit. Now, this one is a question about after retirement from Mr. Chris. Are insurance premiums deducted from retiree's monthly total, or is the retiree responsible to send in the payments? All right, so it depends. I know you probably get a lot of "it depends" answers depending on what you're asking. For those that are in the state health benefit plan, then that can come out of your TRS retirement benefit, and that will come out either at the rate that an active member pays, or it's a lowered amount depending on the years of service that you retire with. So for those of you that had at least 5 years of service as of January 1st, 2012, then you're in the old subsidy rate, and therefore you'll pay the same rate as an active employee at the time of your retirement. And those rates are subject to what the active members have at that time. If you have less than 5 years as of January 1st, 2012, then you pay a rate based on the years of service that you have when you retire. So the more years of service that you have in your TRS account or your total state membership account at the time that you retire, then the lesser that premium will be for you. So that's for the state health benefit plan. For the Board of Regents plan, then you'll be paying that separately, and you want to talk to your HR reps about that, or you can go to One USG Connect and you can find out more information about how those premiums work. Now, for other premiums outside of your life insurance, let's say that's dental, you might have vision, life insurance, those things will not come out of your TRS benefit. There are some dental plans that could, but for the most part, most do not. Those you would have to pay directly to those custodians of those plans. So something to plan for in retirement? These are some really good questions that you all are sending in. So Rob says, oh, and I love your emoji, your picture that you have there, Rob. Does TRS adjust for inflation or COLAs? COLAs are cost of living adjustments. So yes, there is a cost of living adjustment policy that we have with Teachers Retirement System, and you can get up to 3% per year added to your TRS retirement benefit, and that's of course in your retirement, and that's based on inflation. The people here will look at the CPI or the Consumer Price Index every 6 months after you retire, and that will determine if a cost of living adjustment can be awarded. So it's not a guaranteed benefit, but it is something that is built into the policy and the law here, where we will look at that every 6 months, and that could increase your benefit over time. Now, there are people who are actually making more in their retirement because of those cost of living adjustments than what they were receiving while they were working. So a beautiful benefit that's there. All right. Again, these are great questions that you have. Let's see. We have another here. Can you guide me where to look for jobs within the TRS system, such as state agencies that you were talking about? Thank you for that question. So yes, you can go to team.georgia.gov. There are jobs that are there across the state. A lot of those are state agencies, but you can look at the local board of educations that you're near, or across the state. You can look and see there where they may have some jobs. The job fairs that happen typically in the summertime or in the late spring. Those are some options that you have. Those individual county sites, or even the university or the college system websites. So that would take a little more work, but there is the team.georgia.gov site where you can navigate to the career section there, and you can look at some of those state jobs. And I'm glad that you're thinking that way. If you say, okay, maybe I'm not in the right fit for what I'm doing now. There's something else I want to do, but I still want to maximize my benefit. Then that is something definitely to do. So these are some great questions that you all are sending in. All right. So yeah, that is, we went a little bit over our 15-minute time here. Again, thank you so much for joining this session, and we're going to go live again 2 more times today. So make sure that you're checking us out again. Make sure that you liked, subscribe, and follow us here. We have a number of social media channels, so Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, and we're on your favorite podcast as well. So Google and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we have those as well. And there's so much information that's there to help you plan for your retirement. Thank you again for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and end this stream, but we will be back later on. So until then, I hope you have a great day.